going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm rocking my Lazy Man Garage t-shirt. You gotta support your friends, you gotta support those who support you, right? So that's what I'm doing right here. So if you guys want to check out Lazy Man Garage, go check him out, go follow his videos. He's a good kid. He's got some good stuff going on. He likes to help people and he likes to show that on his videos. So you should go give him a follow. But so right behind me, you can see here, Del Sol is at least back on the ground. So I didn't end up filming the rest of the work. Honestly, like I said, I'm just beyond over this car. I don't want to be working on it anymore, so I got the suspension finished up, everything put back together. So now all this thing needs is to wire in the gauges, top off the tranny fluid, and it can fire. So I'll pick this thing up when it's ready to fire, because again, I'm just over it. I'm not being paid, if anything at all, enough for me to care about at this point. I know I'm just helping family, but I got bigger fish to fry, and this is one of them. So this is a car that's been here before. As I freaking bump into this pole, what's up, dude? What's up? What's up? So this is Ben's car. He's been here a few times before, once for his intake, and then I also built the exhaust on here, full 3-inch stainless. So we got some goodies, and I'm pretty sure he's okay with me filming it because he asked if I was going to be making videos on it. It's not like he's an underground street racer and is worried about people knowing his setup, but if you can already tell, K24A2 swap in here. Pretty stock looking wagon, you know. He likes that sleeper look. It's got the full interior, but we're kind of adding a little something on here. Whoop, there it is right there. So we're adding just a small little Chinese choo-choo, and by Chinese I mean American made, and by American it's a Garrett, if you can see that. Yeah, so we got a nice little turbo on there. He supplied that. He got it from a buddy, I believe. But yeah, full interior other than the bucket seat, because you know EF seats aren't the highest quality and it was torn up. So Type R wheel, just some basic goodies, but overall pretty darn stock. So Ben really tried for months to do his research, get parts collected. So as far as I know at the moment, he has supplied everything we need. And there's some other goodies about this thing that we're going to be doing, and I'll show you as we make progress and go along in the video. But to sum it up, all-wheel drive, turbo, supplied a Garrett, supplied a manifold, he supplied a intercooler and pipe. We have the differential, we have axles. That's the part where I'm just concerned. He's slightly concerned. He's hoping his research was correct. So he's using a CRV diff and I believe CRV axles. He does have the rear end on the car from the all-wheel drive model, so he's got like the saddle and cradle or whatever it is back there. So ideally the diff should bolt up and be centered. If it isn't, obviously that's where modifications have to come in. As for mounting the diff from the top, he does have just a universal K-swap or all-wheel drive diff kit, so that's one of the ones where you just kind of grind off some of the paint on the frame rails, you weld your plates in, you got your square tube, and then you got a couple little pieces of laser cut metal that are just like plates for the top bolt holes. Pretty simple. I've done 4 of those so far, so I know how they work. My concern is if the diff is going to be centered where it needs to be. If it is, then are the axles going to be the correct length? So if the diff is centered but the axles are wrong, I'm still kind of in the clear. That's going to be his situation to deal with. He understands that that was part of his thing. But if the diff doesn't line itself up, then that's kind of got to be where I got to figure this stuff out. And then we also have a drive shaft. I don't remember what drive shaft this is from. I don't know if you guys can see it down there. Got all of our parts here. So we have a drive shaft. He understands it might need to be modified. If that's the case, I will cut and tack weld it, and then he's going to take it to a local shop out here that builds drive shafts. They're going to finish welding it and balance it. Obviously there's a process to it. You can't just straight cut and weld. You know, it's got to be balanced. He's looking for just a good, reliable, safe setup for his daily driver, because he does daily this K-swap wagon. He just wants a little bit more power to, you know, have fun with, and some all-wheel drive to put that power down. Now this is a 7 psi wastegate, so ideally with a good tune, I'm thinking he's probably going to make around 340, 320, 350-ish, I'd say. Yeah, so basically all of these parts got to go in here. Let's get started, eh? Let's get this car up in the air. And I guess first things first, because most of this is pipe work and drive shaft and stuff, so let's get the exhaust and the header off. All right, so let's start with mounting the turbo, at least get that part situated. And then from there, I'm gonna just jump right into trying to get the differential hung up and see where that sits. Because if that's off, the rest of this is all gonna be a lot harder. I know it's a cool car and all, but y'all can't hang out in here. Come watch me work, all right? Let's get out of here. I just tried mounting the diff up just to test fit. I need to shim part of the bracket just a little bit on this left side. It's just like a hair too tight. So I'm just gonna unbolt this really fast. And stick a couple washers on there. So if anything, we can always get a longer bolt. That's not a big deal. This is just like M12 125, so not a big deal. I didn't have much, but I found a couple thicker crush washers, so I don't know if I'm gonna need one or two. Honestly, I might just start with the one for now and kind of see where that gets me, because it really was not much at all, so do that. I don't know how well you guys can see it, probably not at all because of the light back there. But the diff is mounted, well not mounted, I gotta find a bolt for it for the back, and then I gotta be able to, yeah, I got the front supported with the jack, but it lines up pretty much perfectly center on the way down to the transfer case, which I still have to install. So that's a good sign. I'm gonna go ahead, try and find a bolt to mount the back portion of it, and then I can start marking off where I gotta grind off on the sides up there on the frame rails to be able to weld it. That's at least a little bit of peace of mind. So yeah. Once the diff is hung completely, then I'll start working on the front stuff. But for now, diff is the priority again, like I said before. Yeah, let's find a bolt, shall we? Oh, by the way, that thing is way heavier than I thought it was gonna be. Trying to muscle it. I have a transmission jack, I just always forget to use it. Yeah, I'm not strong. So I got a little bit of an issue. I just got the top bar on the top diff plate and that stuff, whatever. So I got the diff back up, I got it bolted up, but the issue now is, like I said, this is I think gonna be my 4th or 5th rear end setup, but I've only done them on EGs and EKs so far. And now the issue being is that, I'll show you, I don't know, I can't really show you because of the light, but basically the issue that I'm running into is that the frame rails come down much, well, they don't come down enough is the issue. So normally you'd use those other pieces of metal that come in these kits. You would weld them to the insides of the frame rail, like here, and then you put your tube in the middle, cut it to length, weld it to the plate on top of the diff, and that's how you do it. But this one, the frame rails only come up to here, so now I have to try and make something to drop down off the sides of the frame rail by the shock mount to then attach the tube to for the diff, top diff mount, and then I have to try and find a way to triangulate it so that way it doesn't rock back and forth under load and torque and stuff. So this just makes it a little bit more complicated. Nothing I can't do, but we're definitely gonna have to take a minute to sit down and plan it out. And those of you wondering, this is an Odyssey Fab kit, and I do believe that this is the same one that I've welded in the other 2 times. So I know it works, at least on EG and EK. It's just the wagon, yeah, it doesn't work. I don't believe that there is a wagon kit on the market yet, at least not that the owner is saying. So the owner is actually coming down tomorrow morning, and we're gonna show him and try and figure out the next move. I already know I gotta do what I gotta do, but I kinda just wanna go over potential options with him. So I will catch up with you guys tomorrow because we're about out of daylight anyway. We got about another 45 minutes, so I'm gonna head out to the canyon, go for a cruise. Catch you guys tomorrow. Day 2 now. Guy dropped off the wheel lug key. I explained to him the situation this morning. He's basically like, yep, do what you gotta do. So I am in the means or process of kind of trying to brainstorm this. So I'm gonna pull the shock / coilover off really quick, give me more room to work and more room to visualize. But yeah, it sounds like I'm basically just gonna be kind of, I don't know, you guys can't see it too well. Let me try and get you in here really quick. So this area here, you can see the tubes here. Basically, this area before the subframe and here is where I need to kind of clean up. And I'm just gonna weld some thick metal here, some thick plate that I got. And we're gonna drop it down, just kind of make like a little hanger. And we're gonna then attach the tube, obviously cut the tube to fit. where it needs to be and mimic it on the other side, and then to triangulate it, I'm gonna try and do something, I don't know, I'll figure that part out, but the main part's gonna be just hanging it here, and then we can try and triangulate it off of something that's around here. But I need the coilover kind of out of the way for me to be, oh God, falling over, for me to be able to have some room to work with and take care of that. So 17 up on the bottom, 214s in the back. So I went and took some cardboard here and I traced the design that I want. So let me kind of go from up under here. So this is going to give me a really solid, strong weld on multiple points. Follows the contour around the subframe, and it drops down enough for me to weld the bar onto it. And yeah, I think that's going to be a really solid design there. Still leaves plenty of clearance for everything else. And then yeah, that'll give me even some room to try and maybe even triangulate it off somewhere else. And then obviously the car should be mirrored, so this should fit just fine right over here as well, which it appears it will just fine. So I'm gonna go see if I have some 1/8 inch plate, which I think I do. Transfer this over, cut it twice, test fit, contour, and that'll be it. Got my plates left and right cut out. So this is like 1/8 inch plate, so it's pretty darn thick. It's a hair thicker, I think, than what came in the kit for its normal plates. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish cleaning up more of the area that I'm gonna be welding. So the way I cut this out was just a cutoff wheel, and then I tried to cut the angles and stuff slowly and surely with the cutoff wheel, and then I went through after it was all cut out with a carbide burr bit and helped shape it, and then I cleaned it all up with a flap disc and my belt sander. So not perfect, because, you know, just done by hand, but it'll work just fine. So as you can see, and get right up in there like that. Got the parts all cleaned up, weld area cleaned up, welder set up. Let's tack them in place. We gotta trim this tube down a little bit, so I just made my first notch so I can kind of get it to where it needs to sit, and then I can make any trimming adjustments from there. Well, that's a friggin' perfect fit though. So I'm gonna go ahead and position this, and then I can tack that in place. I was a little mistaken on the way that the diff is going to be moving. So I was concerned about a front back motion, but after doing a little bit of like reading and calling around, I found that the diff is going to be moving like an engine. So it's going to be rotating like that, not front and back movement. So in order to counteract that, really the only thing I can do is try and attach it to the body of the car from the top of the pole that gets welded across. So what I've come up with here, there's a bunch of holes in the little top part of the frame rail above the diff, and they're already pre-drilled. So I actually had some 5/16, I think, Rivnuts, some decent size ones, and they fit right in there. So I found some bolts, and then I made these little L brackets. So I'm just going to weld the bottom portion to the diff bar, the mount that's going across, and then I got some holes drilled up and I triangulated it there. So these are going to attach up just like that, and that's going to help prevent any rocking, hopefully. That's the idea. Again, this stuff shouldn't be getting that much tension on it and torsion or whatever, so hopefully this will suffice. This is some 1/8 plate steel, but really the only way to find out is to just send it. If it breaks, then we revise it. You can see these are the L brackets that I was just talking about. So bar going across, here's my end plate, the diff plate, and then there was a bunch of these little holes like I said, so my 5/16 Rivnut fit in there just fine, riveted it in, and now the bracket's bolted up. So order of operations for this is going to be tack these on, tack the bar to the middle plate, same on the other side, drop the diff, drop the whole assembly, weld the assembly on the top as I need to, and then put the bar back up, then put the diff back up, weld the end plates to the bar, and then go ahead and weld the end plates to the chassis. And then that should be all said and done, and I think that'll work good. So we got the diff hung. It is very, very firm in place. I added those braces there, got those all welded on, got the top bracket welded on, got these bolted up in place. I still just have the ends tacked here. Sorry if I just made a bunch of noise, I just hit my mic against that thing. But yeah, and sorry for the lack of view because I'm 2 inches away from all this crap. But yeah, Static just hit me up and was like, hey, you know there's actually a bar up here, so I guess it's supposed to be like these holes here. He sent me his video, I just skimmed through really quick, and basically the holes that I Rivnutted are the ones where the factory brace is supposed to go. So I just called or texted the owner, and he's aware of it. But I guess you got to do some more mods, and then you'd have to end up drilling all the way through using a steel sleeve, bolting it up, and then his concern would be different fuel tank and all that stuff. Obviously I trust Dana's insight on this, but in this case, like, Dana's probably got the better version of it for sure. The owner just doesn't want to have to go through all that trouble. He didn't source out the part, he didn't want to, he just went with this kit. And as far as I can tell, this is all gonna work. I mean, those brackets should hopefully help with the rotational movement, but I mean, again, if it doesn't work, we find out where it went wrong and we revise it. So, actually I think Dana's texting me right now, so. Yeah, so we'll see. I think it's, I mean, to me, that's all hung up and it's all good to go yet. Only other thing I have to finish doing is welding in these plates over there on the sides here, but I think Dana's version's better, but I think this should work just fine. But appreciative of having somebody like him that's really actually experienced in this trying to help me out, because I'm just kind of winging it at this point, learning as I go, and yeah, I don't know. Let's hope it works. Just giving it a shot to put the axle in, and I wasn't sure they would fit, but looks like they're fitting just fine, because I wanted to test fit and try and jounce the suspension to see if it was going to hit my plate, to see if I have to modify it at all. But I mean, looks like we got plenty of clearance, so I'm not too worried about it. And he's on coilovers anyway, so stiff spring rates and stuff aren't going to let the car go up as high. So I don't know, even like all the way, yeah, I still got at the top of the bounce, it's still probably got like 2.5, 3 inches, so we should be good. Got the one axle in, snug that nut down. We didn't end up dropping the trailing arms. Having a second set of hands makes this easier, so we undid the control arm from that end and the upper control arm, and undid the 17mm trailing arm bushings, and then just kind of muscled the axle in there. But it worked, it fits, so I know Ben's gonna be stoked on that, so that means his research was correct, but I need some lunch. We got the transfer case right here. I'm gonna bolt this on really quick, and then with the other axle in now, all that we gotta do is see if the drive shaft is gonna work. Bitch. It's either gonna piss everywhere or not at all. Oh boy. Yep, there's fluid in there. So we got 2 stands supporting it. I think it's gonna have like the slight bend in it in the middle. I'm gonna have to make a way to mount it because there's currently no mounting holes that I can tell. I don't know, I'll have to look more into it, but obviously this is important here first. But yeah, so we're probably like yeah, we're like a solid 4 1/8 inch long. So I guess make note of that. Not too sure where they take it out of. I'll have to look that up here in a little bit, but at least the rear end is all done. Other than tightening down the axle nuts right here, I wanted to leave those loose, that way I would remember to as I'm checking all my bolts by the time everything's all done. But either way, I gotta have the drive shaft up on the stands here because it's gonna sit up obviously a few inches higher, but I can build the rest of the exhaust around it in the meantime. So that means I can start on the fab side of all this, which should be hopefully more fun than doing the rear end stuff, the diff and all that. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably get cracking on this. Suppose start with the downpipe because that's probably gonna be the most time consuming because the charge stuff should be pretty easy. Since I know I'm on the right track, I'm gonna go ahead and finish welding those plates in right there on the end cap so I unhook the ECU is to not ground it out. And that'll probably wrap this up for now, I suppose. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop the drive shaft off today. It is obviously the 3rd day now starting to work on the car. Drive shaft shop that I'm going to says they should be able to have it done before the end of the day, so I can go and pick it up later this afternoon, which is great because then I can focus on building the downpipe today, which you will see in the next video, and then I can also, once I get the drive shaft back, focus on building the exhaust. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you have considered subscribing by now. I just want to say thank you for those of you who take the time to hang out with me here on my channel, and the best way to support if you would like to help support is the merch in the Big Cartel, Patreon link down below, and those Amazon affiliate links. You don't have to buy those items in those links. You can just click those links and go buy anything else you want, and it still gives me credit for that. So anyways guys, thanks for hanging out. Do what you love. Forget about the rest, and we'll see you in the next one. Deuces.